ओम अखंडम सच्चिदानंदम अवांग मनसगोचरम आत्मानम अखिलाधारम आश्रये भीष्टसिद्धये. Last time we reread the sentence 46 and very slowly, gradually and repeatedly we read up to sentence 50, and actually today we have to proceed from 51. But one of the audience has insistently asked me about the sentence 46. And I read the sentence, Tadanim etau Ishvara pragyo Chaitanya pradiptabhir ati sukshmabhir ajnana vrittibhir anandam anubhavatah anandabhu cheto mukha pragya iti shrute sukham aham aswapsam na kinchit avedisham iti uthitasya paramarsha upapattescha. Now, the last sentence, Uthitasya Paramarsha. That means when we get up from deep sleep, the question is about deep sleep, that is dreamless sleep. And when we get up from that dreamless sleep, what do we remember? What do we talk about it? And I slept happily. This translation unfortunately says, I did not know anything. But this is wrong from the English grammar point of view. I do not know why revered Nikhilananji has used like that. When the children first learn English, they do say, I do not know anything, I did not know anything. And the teacher has to correct them. And I tell them, don't say like that. I knew nothing is the correct language. Now, this is not only the correct language, but this is the correct representation of what is happening in deep sleep. So, I slept happily. I knew nothing. I would take it from the other end. This memory tells us that I was very much there. But this I the man, I the woman, I the sannyasi, I the officer, this I is not there. This I has lost all its specifications, but I is there. Knew nothing, I knew. This is not only language, but had there been no knowledge, no memory could have occurred. Whether the knowledge is right, wrong, or anything. But unless we have a knowledge, experience, we cannot have any memory. So he knew, I knew, but there was no object to be known. What has happened to the objects which I was seeing in the waking state or dream state? All the objects have become one. As when the darkness descends, we do not see the table, chair, etc., etc. All of them become only darkness. And the subject, that is I, who was experiencing these objects, becomes as if stuck to that, coalesced to that objects. That is what is deep sleep. But the Maya, that is subject-objectness of my consciousness, is not gone. I explained this many times. I am separate from the objects. Though all objects have become one, the darkness, that is Ajnana, and I have become pasted to that as it were. There is no gap between me and my object, and that is why I do not perceive anything. I would have said I pursue darkness, but I say I pursue nothing, because darkness plus I has been pasted to that darkness. But the inner difference between I and darkness has not gone. Second sentence, I slept happily. I is there, and meaning of slept is that neither my indriyas were working nor my mind was working. That is the meaning of the verb slept happily. Is there anybody in this world who sleeps in deep sleep unhappily? Who sleeps in deep sleep miserably? We may have pain and we may have misery, and because of which we are not able to sleep. Then the doctor gives us tranquilizer, injections, and we sleep. Once we sleep, is it not happiness there? No, because the member of the audience has found difficult, not only he, but many of the philosophers, say Sankhya philosophers, they say there is absence of pain. They do not talk of happiness. Buddhists say, later on this will come, Buddhists say that shunyam, nothing is there. They also do not talk of happiness. But Vedantists have analyzed that deep sleep more deeply or correctly. But as we find it difficult, I will take the other direction. We have found several times during this Vedanta Sahar that if we find something difficult to understand, we refer to the nature of Brahman. And from there, we have found last time, before that also, difference between Ishvara, Prajna and all that, that it becomes so easy to understand Samashti and Veshti from the point of view of Brahman. So in this case also, we'll take recourse to that. Now Brahman has been described always, everywhere, as Satchit Anandam. Now, a question has been raised in the Taittiriya Upanishad by Shankaracharya himself. How to understand, how do you say that bliss is the nature of Brahman? Anandam Brahma, several times it is repeated. In other Upanishads, Vijnanam Anandam Brahma. So how do you know? And as they say, the taste of pudding is in eating. I will give you several examples. There itself, Shankaracharya has explained in the Taittiriya commentary that we have seen people, that is, taste of pudding is in eating. Brahman is Ananda Sarup, can be understood through the life and experience of those who have realized Brahman. Shankar says we have seen Brahmins, meaning persons who have realized Brahman, who have nothing with them which people use for pleasure or happiness. Some people use ball, bat and ball. Some people use pen. Some people use so many things to get some pleasure. Or they use each other's body to get the pleasure. But the man of Brahman has nothing of these which people use to get pleasure or happiness. He has none of them, and yet they are permanently happy. That is the proof Shankaracharya gives. That we have seen people who do not possess any of the things which ordinary people use for getting pleasure or happiness, and yet they are filled with bliss always. As the brightest example of a man of realization, we refer to Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna. And who has certified that? Holy Mother Sarda Devi. She says that I have not seen another Sadananda Purush like him. I have never seen him bereft of joy. She does not talk of absence of misery. The man of realization, Sita Prajna, people wrongly understand becomes a wall. Not at all. So he does not want anything of the world because he has his bliss within. whether he was with young people, whether he was with old people, whether he was alone or in a company, whether he was in ordinary consciousness or in samadhi. Holy Mother is telling, he is always filled with bliss. He was questioned that even during samadhi, she said yes. Even during the highest samadhi, she said yes. I have seen him always filled with bliss. And that is what Shankar has said. So now let us start from there. From where has this bliss come? He is not using anything which the ordinary people use for getting some pleasure. And even if he has using, it does not obstruct his nothing give. So from where has this bliss come? Is it not his own nature? It is his own real nature. I will give another example that this bliss is so deep inside. Outside there may be misery. Outside there may be pain. Pain is real outside and yet he has bliss. During the days when bodily he was suffering from cancer, he was always filled with bliss. Not only during samadhi, but even on the ordinary plane. There is a book called Last Days of Sri Ramakrishna. In that it is described that when he saw people are filled with sorrow because of his disease, then he used to crack jokes, such jokes that they used to roar with laughter. So even on the ordinary plane of consciousness, he has that bliss with him even during cancer. Once when in Bhava, he fell down bodily, his hand, the bone of his hand had slipped. So the doctors put a lintel on that. And one of his disciples, a great Vedanti, Turiyan Swamiji, Hari Maharaj, as a boy, he came to visit him and asked him that I have heard like this. He said, yes. See how much painful it is. And the doctors have put a bandage. I am not able to make it straight also. See how much painful it is. He is not hiding his pain, he is showing. And this boy says, he waits for 5 minutes and says, sir, let it be, let it be. I see that you are immersed in bliss. And Sri Ramakrishna has to say, this clever boy has caught me. This clever boy has caught me. That means outside there may be pain, but inside there is bliss. In the Gita, in the 6th chapter, the final gain is described like that. Yasmin sthito na dukkhe na gurunapi vichalyate. That being established in that happiness, bliss, he is not disturbed even by the biggest of miseries. And there, Shankaracharya has explained that even if he is cut by some weapon, his bliss is not disturbed. So, this is the bliss. Now, from there we can now understand what has happened in deep sleep. Our pleasures should derive by our senses. Actually, pleasure gets broken by being experienced by these senses. We have to struggle to make a contact, and that lessens our pleasure or adds pain to that pleasure. Even when we eat a sweet, we have to chew it. Even when any sense contact gives us pleasure, there is a pain side by side. Similarly, in the mind, when we raise happiness, there is a pain along with that. But now, I will explain now 46. The Indriyas are not working. What has happened? Our life is a life in Maya. In Brahman, there is no subject-object split. That is the meaning of the word Advaita. In Brahman, subject-object split is not there, Advaita. And wherever this subject-object split is there, that is called Maya. And that is the very definition of a Jiva. Our experience always is that I am a subject living in this world of objects. That is our experience. And so there is action and interaction between the subject and object. And Indriyas are involved in that. Indriyas get tired, so they sleep or we sleep. Mind is not getting tired. Mind creates its own subject and object, and we enjoy that, we suffer that, and then mind also gets tired. What remains is us. If we remember the definition of Ajnana given by Sadananda Yati, and this is Ajnana, the subject-objectness, you may say, of the consciousness is there. And because it is there, grossly in our mind, what happens, we call it a vritti, a wave. In dream, the vritti is subtler. We call it subtle vritti. Now, in deep sleep, mind is not functioning, but that ajnana is there. Subject-object difference is there. And because there is a difference, there is a wave. The two poles, one pole is I, one pole is the object. Though they are not seen separately, yet the minutest wave is there. So here he says, Tadanim Ishvara Pragyav Chaitanya Pradipta Vir Ati Sukshma Vir Ajnana Vritti Vir. So very, very subtle Ajnana Vritti, but illumined by the Chaitanya behind, consciousness behind. Anandam Anubhavata. So this bliss, which is our nature, gets reflected on that subtlest vritti. All our pleasures are bliss inside. Bliss is our nature. And due to subject-object contact on that gross matter, the bliss gets reflected partially. One particle, one smallest particle gives joy to the whole world. That is Brahman. And so that is happens in waking state. Now we go to dream. There again, this vritti of the mind, it is illumined by the consciousness behind. And this consciousness behind illumines that, and we enjoy or suffer that happiness. So, in the deep sleep, this subtlest vritti, as illumined by our consciousness, there this is the highest in the world compared to any other joy which we get in this world. Subject-object pleasure is always a divided pleasure, while in deep sleep there is nothing to disturb it. The bliss inside is getting reflected on the sleeping mind, inactive mind, in the subtlest form of wave, where nothing but that darkness is there. On that, the bliss gets reflected. And that is why it is the highest pleasure. People struggle throughout the day. If somebody asks, why do you struggle? To get a good sleep. There is a beautiful poem, Miller of the Dee. One line I remember. I remember the whole poem, but I am telling. Something attempted and something done, and earned a night's repose. This night's repose he has earned. It is not only that because he gets tired, he sleeps. Everybody struggles so that he may get a good sleep. So, I remember here another incident. When I was in Rishikesh, one old man, physically rickety, used to attend my classes. And he had attended classes of all the big Vedantis. And he was asking me that All the big Vedantis have seen in their old age they suffer and they have pain. How to understand that there is something called happiness? And I told him this very thing, that do you sleep miserably? In deep sleep, do you not have happiness? And in Samadhi, we do not require this subject-object split. We do not require mind. And that is why that is the supreme bliss. And that man, a flash came to him and he became happy that moment. He understood, yes, the man of knowledge can live happily always. So this happiness or bliss is our own nature that gets a disturbed reflection during waking state, maybe little less disturbed reflection in dream, but in deepest sleep, it gets the best reflection without any disturbance. There is nothing to disturb it. The subject-object division is there, but they do not appear separate. This I has become pasted to that object called darkness, and that is the bliss. I think more than this cannot be explained. So, my friend who has raised this doubt how to understand, please follow in this line of thought. When you find any difficulty in understanding any point of Vedanta, always go to the nature of Brahman first, and from there reflect the whole thing on life. So, through Sri Ramakrishna's example, through example of all the Brahmajnas which Shankar has told in Taittiriya Upanishad, which we have seen in our own life, all Thakur's disciples were always filled with bliss in spite of thousands of miseries. And so, that is the state where in deepest sleep, Sukham Aham Aswapsam, I slept happily. Nobody can deny that. You had not become a wall. You had not only removed your pain, but you were enjoying bliss at that time. And this the Mandukya Upanishad that said, Anandabhuk Cheto Mukha. What is the mouth? To eat that bliss. And that mouth is your I consciousness. Unspecified I consciousness. Unspecified subject living in the object which is bliss. There is no object there, bliss only is the object. And that bliss is being experienced by the I consciousness which is there without any specification. That is Anandabhuk Cheto Mukha Prajna Iti Shrute. So we have explained the sentence 46 completely again. Now we proceed hurriedly. Anayo samashti veshtayor vanavrukshayor jalashaya jalariyo va veda. This also explained last time with the help that it is Brahman which is appearing in the samashti, Brahman which is appearing in the veshti. In their real nature they are same. एतद् उपयुतयो ईश्वरप्राज्ञयोरपि वनवृक्ष अवच्छिन्न आकाशयोरिव जलाशय जलगत प्रतिबिंब आकाशयोरिव वा भेदा. So this is about the samashti and veshti upadhis, and the chaitanya which is covered by the samashti upadhi and chaitanya which is covered by the veshti upadhi, also in their real nature there is no difference, as there is no difference between a drop of water and the lake of water, or in the space. The drop of water, lake of water is in the upadhi, and the space covering the forest and space covering the trees, there is no difference. The space or sky reflected in the lake of water and space reflected in the drops of water, there is no difference. And that also is called in Mandukya, Esha Sarveshwara, Esha Yoni Sarvasya, Prabhapaye Bhutanam Ityadi Shrute. That is the state of Ishvara. वनवृक्षतद अवच्छिन्न आकाशयोर जलाशय जल तद्गत प्रतिबिंब आकाशयोर वा आधारभूत अनुपहित आकाशवत अनयोर अज्ञान तद उपहित चैतन्ययोर आधारभूतम यद अनुपहितम चैतन्यम तत् तुरीयमिति उच्यते. So the Upayitam is covered by the Upadhi. Upadhi means not our real nature, but it appears to be so. So this Upadhi, covered by Upadhi, is the Jiva and Ishvara. But what is the other of this covered Akasha? What is the other of that other Akasha? That Akasha which is in its own nature, without reference to any covering. The Akasha without reference to any covering is the basis of this Akasha or that Akasha. And that is called Turiya, the fourth. Because it is involved in Jagrati, Sapna, Sushupti and yet different from them. So it is called the fourth. And so the fourth is the basic Akasha example, which is at the root of the covered Akasha in both the ways. Shivam Advaitam Chaturtham Mandante Ityadi Shruti. So the seventh mantra of the Mandukya comes to the help and says that is called Shivam, fourth, Advaita, etc. Then Idameva Turiyam Shuddha Chaitanyam Ajnanadi Tadupayita Chaitanyabhyam Saptaya Pindavat Aviviktam Sat Mahavakyasya Vakyam Viviktam Sat Lakshamiti Cha Uchyate. Now this Turiya is nothing but pure consciousness, and Ajnana and Upayita Chaitanya, both Prajna or Ishvara, and that Saptaya Pindavat, iron ball being heated in fire, Mahavakyasya Vakyam, that means Tattvamasi, the literal meaning is that you are God, which is not true, because that meaning was never intended. So this iron ball being called fire is like the literal meaning. But fire, original fire, due to which this iron ball is appearing hot, that is the intended meaning. So direct meaning or indirect meaning may not be the correct words. Literal meaning, the meaning which comes to our mind when we hear those words or when we read those words, the thing comes to our mind is that the word God. But that is not true. The intended meaning was that your real nature and what you call God, his real nature is identical. And that real nature is nothing but, you cannot name it as you or God. The real nature is only called pure consciousness. So that is the Lakshya that up to this we had read in Sutra 50. We have to cover it many times. Now we proceed. अस्य अज्ञानस्य आवरण विक्षेप नामकम अस्ति शक्ति द्वयम्. This ajnana from knowledge, something being seen instead of something, and we have already seen during the definition of ajnana that it is a power. There is a power, deluding power. Now this power is of two types. It deludes us with two powers, you may say, or this power can be seen as two types. Ajnanasya avarana vikshepa namakam asti shakti dvayam. One is called the covering power, the other is called the projecting power. Covering power and projecting power. These are the names. That means the reality is covered and the world is projected. That is both due to the power of this ajnana, which can be seen in our life, or as we have said, from the Ishwarasya Devatma Shakti. So Ishwarasya Devatma Shakti covers the real nature and projects a different scene. He explains now. Avarna Shakti Stavat Alpopi Mego Aneka Yojana Ayatana Aditya Mandalam Avalokayitru Nayana Patha Pidayakataya Yatha Achadayati Iva तथा अज्ञानम परिच्छिन्नम अपि आत्मानम अपरिच्छिन्नम असंसारिणम अवलोकयितृ बुद्धि प्रदायकतया अच्छायति इव तादृशम सामर्थ्यम. Iva he has added in both places. Example he gives later on. Let me read it. Taduktam ganachanna drishtir ganachanna markam yatha manyate nishprabam chati muda तथा बद्धवद भाति यो मूढ़भूत दृष्टे स नित्योपलब्धि स्वरूपम आत्मा इति. This from Shankara's disciple called Hastamala. Now, clouds, they are very finite. How much big clouds can be compared to the sun? So, he explains the Avarna Shakti, Mego, Mega is limited. Aneka Yojana Ayatana Aditya Mandalam. How many miles, how many thousands of miles is the diameter of sun? How can the clouds cover that sun? But Avalokayatru Nayana Patha Pidayakataya. Our eyes have a limited range and our eyes' vision is obstructed by the clouds. And we say the sun is not seen. We say there is no sun. We say that the sun cannot be seen. Sun is not covered. Our eyes, the vision, the path of vision of our eyes is covered by a small speck of cloud. Even if you put 4 fingers before the eyes, it becomes covered. Sun is shining. So, this is evil, as if the sun is covered. Sun is not covered, as if the sun is covered, because the range of our vision is covered. The path through which we see the sun is covered by clouds which are limited, and though the sun is almost infinite in size, yet it is covered. Similarly, Ajnana is a limited thing, finite thing, because it is destroyed by knowledge. It depends upon person to person. It's a finite thing. And our own real nature is infinite. Neither it has parts, nor is there anything else. It is one without a second, so it is infinite. But our view of our own real nature is obstructed by our ajnana. Ajnana, though finite, can obstruct our vision of our own real nature as if the real nature is covered. That is the covering power. And same thing, there was a boy who would not speak. Shankar asked him who you are, and he replied that same thing, that drishti is covered by clouds. People think mood, people think that sun is covered. So, though it appears bound, in reality it is free. That soul I am. Nityopalabdhi Swarupa, who is always aware of himself, that self I am. So the same thing. So we understood the Avarani Shakti. Anaya Avrutasya Atmana Kartrutva Bhoktrutva Sukhitva Dukkhitwadi Sansara Sambhavanapi Bhavati Yatha Swa Ajnanena Avrutayam Rajva Sarpatva Sambhavana. So this Atman is covered as if. Now in that covered Atman, that is Jiva, what comes? I am the doer, I am the enjoyer, I am happy, I am miserable. Adi. Other experiences also. I love, I hate, or any experience. But the basic experience is that I am the doer, I am the enjoyer or experiencer, and as a result of that, I am happy or I am miserable, etc. Samsara, this is the nature of the transmigratory soul. When he is the doer or enjoyer and happy and miserable, he will have to transmigrate, take birth again and again. Sambhavanapi bhavati. The possibility of this happening comes when the real nature is covered. The possibility of his transmigratory nature, consisting of I am doer and I am enjoyer, happy and pleasure, arises. The possibility arises. Example, outside example, when the rope is not seen, Avarani Shakti, then the possibility arises that it may appear a snake. It may appear as a crack in the earth. It may appear as a line of water. It may appear as a snake. This possibility arises because the real nature is covered. Now we explain the Vikshepa Shakti, the projecting power. Then projecting power gets its play. Vikshepa Shaktistu yatha rajyo ajnanasya avruta rajyau स्वशक्त्या सर्पादिकम उद्भावयति एवं अज्ञानमपि स्वावृत आत्मनि स्वशक्त्या आकाशादि प्रपंचम उद्भावयति तादृशम सामर्थ्यम तदुक्तम विक्षेप शक्ति लिंगादि ब्रह्मांडांतम जगत सृजेत इति. इस तरह वाक्य सुधा. Now the projecting power is of this type. When the rope is not seen as rope, in that covered rope, by its own power, Sarpadikam, just now I told, it may appear a snake, a line of water, a crack in the earth, something appears, something is projected, Udbhavayati, creates. In this way, the Ajnana, when it has covered our real nature, then it has its own power, called the Vikshepa Shakti, Akashadi Prapancham Udbhavayati. Start from the subtlest matter called space or Akasha, and then Akasha, Vayu, Teja, Jala, Prithvi, then they combine and the whole world comes into existence. The, the projection happens like this. Once the real nature is covered, then Akashadi Prapancham, Prapancham is the manifold world, Udbhavayati, Tadrisham Samarthyam. So that Ajnana has this power of projecting from Akasha right up to the whole world. Taduktam, as in the Vakya Sudha, Vikshepa Shaktis Lingadi Brahmandantam. Lingadi means our Sukshma body. That is the Linga. And from there, Brahmandantam, the whole Brahmanda, whole galaxies together, Brahmanda. So from gross to subtle, subtle to gross, everything becomes created as if where creation is not the equivalent word of Srijay. Vedanta does not believe that something can be created from nothing. Srishti means projection. So the whole world becomes projected. In a simple way, we can say, I will tell a funny incident. There was a brahmachari from the town or village Sarisha in Bengal. Now the Bengali is called Sarisha as Sorshe. And mustard seed is also called Sorshe. So in that brahmachari used to come to Mahapurush Maharaj to make pranam, used to say, oh, Sorshe chodiye pudishni, pudano dayo. Oh, Sorshe, don't get spread. It will become difficult to collect. So, you understand? Let your mind not get disturbed by various perception. Don't get spread. It will be difficult to collect. So, this projection is called Srishti. And the projection is a power, projecting power. So it can project so many things, and it has projected that Ajnana Shakti, in our case, by wrong knowledge, in God's case, by his Devatma Shakti, he has projected, first covered, and then projected something which is not that. 55. Shakti Dvayavad Ajnanopahitam Chaitanyam स्वप्रधानतया निमित्तं सोपाधि प्रधानतया upadanam cha bhavati. Now the created world is in our front. We ask what is the material from which it is created and what is the intelligent source which has created it. So we generally ask of the upadan karan and nimitta karan. Nimitta means the intelligent source which is at the root of this creation. And upadana is the material from which it is created. Now the Chaitanya is there, and it is Upayita Chaitanya, that means Saguna Brahma. Upayita Chaitanya means Ishvara. He has both the powers. Shakti Dvaya Vat means possessor of. Possessor of two types of power is Upayita Chaitanya, the Ishvara. So Pradhanataya Nimittam, that means by the predominance of consciousness, it is the Nimitta Karan, the intelligent source. In that, Ishvara's consciousness is working. And the Upadana, so Upadi Pradhanataya, Ishvara himself has this Upadi of the entire cosmos. So from that becomes the material. Ishvara does not require any outside material. He, in his nature of consciousness, is the Nimitta Karan. He, as the nature of the being Samashti, is the Upadan Karan. Samashti Upadi is Ishvara's Upadi. So from that, he can project on the whole world. So the meaning of this, or the meaning of the whole chapter now becomes clear. That should never be missed. Adhyaropa we understood to tell us that the whole world is a superimposition, meaning that the reality is transcendent. So whatever we read henceforth, whether it is Akashadi, whether it is Ajnanadi, the meaning is that there are two ways of looking at the world. One is that all is Maya. All is the mixture of reality and unreality. The other is, in its real nature, all is Brahman. Brahman itself is the Nimitta Karan, and Brahman itself, through its cosmic upadis, is the Upadan Karan. So being Nimitta Karan, Upadan Karan, Brahman itself is all. But as it appears, it is only a distorted vision. It is only a covering. It is only a superimposition. So many people, they will, when we continue, so many details will be given. And people will ask, what is Panchikaran and this and that? And then they will describe half of that and quarter of that. The purpose should never be forgotten. The purpose is to describe the creation. What will you gain by knowing what is the created? What will you gain? But by knowing that all this is only Maya, by knowing that in real nature all this is Brahman, we get the highest. So the purpose of the rishis telling us about this is to point out at every step, this is Maya, this is Maya, this is Maya, this is Maya. And when we clear out that Maya, this is Brahman, this is Brahman, this is Brahman, that will be the Apavada. So that is the purpose of describing this Srishti. not to give the details of Srishti. We cannot know, we cannot gain anything by knowing the details of Srishti. Cosmology, how it was created, and then somebody brings Tantra to fulfill that creation, madness. What do we get by fulfilling that creation, which is ignorance? So in the Vedanta says all is Maya, it means both the things. That as it appears, it is wrong, it is false. Vedanta is telling that. And Vedanta is never not telling that all this is Brahman. Sarvam khalu idam Brahma. And that is what Sri Ramakrishna emphasized, both the sides. That from one side it is all Maya, from the other side all is Brahman. We do not require any Vedas and all that for that. So, this is what is Vedanta. Neti, neti, iti, iti. And that is the purpose of the whole description. So, the Nimitta Karan is Brahman as consciousness. Upadan Karan is Brahman as itself appearing as the space and other objects. Clear, please? Example. Example, we will gross something, but to comprehend that we can understand, yatha luta tantu karyam prati swapradhanataya nimittam swasharira pradhanataya upadhanam cha bhavati. The cobweb, the spider which webs the web. Now the spider as an intelligent being is the nimitta, is the intelligent cause of creating that net. And within its stomach, it presses its own stomach and the saliva or a liquid comes out. From that it being the net. So from his own body, he brings out that upadan and he himself works on that. Now the example will be gross always. But to understand that Brahman itself as consciousness is the intelligent cause, Brahman itself through its appearance is the material cause. Now, within this projecting power, we are told at the time of Ajnana or Devatma Shakti that it is Trigunatmak. It appears or it functions in three different ways. Sattva-Raja-Tama, we have again and again explained it, not as Sankhya separate three qualities, but Sattva original is Brahman, Sattva individualized is, as Sadananda calls it, Malina Sattva Pradhana. It includes coloring, and when the coloring becomes dark, it becomes opaque or tamogun. So now we have to understand the projected word. Tama Pradhana Vikshepa Shaktimat Ajnana Upaita Chaitanyat Akasha. Akashad Vayu, Vayor Agni, Agnerapo, Adhya Prithvi Cha Utpadyate, Etasmat Atmana Akasha Sambhuta Ityadi Shruti. Now this Vikshepa Shakti belonging to the Maya is of has three qualities. And we take the Tama qualities. Why Tama quality? Sadananda will explain later on. Because we experience like that, so I have called these three gunas. There is no other way to find out. Now, matter is experienced by us. Matter is never the experiencer, but we are the experiencer. So the matter is called the product of Tamo Gunatmak Shakti. Tamo Gunatmak Vikshepa Shakti. It is a projected, appears due to the projecting power. But the projecting power having both Sattva Rajatama, the Tamo that means opaqueness, non-intelligence, non-consciousness is what it appears. So we call it Tamogun. Shaktimat Ajnana Upaita Chaitanyam. So the Shakti is possessed by Chaitanya, which is covered by Ajnana. So Chaitanya covered by Ajnana means Ishvara, not Ajnana for Ima. Name, we have seen that Sadananda has used the same name. It means Devatma Shakti. So that Ajnana Upaita Chaitanya means Ishvara with his Shakti of projection, avarana and projection, and that Tama Pradhana, because Tama cannot be without Sattva and Raja. Even the Akasha matter also has consciousness, but very, very less manifested. So Tama Pradhana, mind you, not only Tamagun. These three can never be separate. They will always stay together. But the less or more percentage or manifestation will be there, and we name according to that. So, Tama Pradhana, Vikshepa Shaktimat, Jnana Ajnana Upaita Chaitanya Akashas. From that, Akasha appears. So, Akasha is not real. Akasha is only expression of Maya. Akasha is the expression of Vikshepa Shakti of Maya. Akasha is the expression of Tama Pradhana Vikshepa Shakti of Maya. So, it's not real in itself. And who is the projector? What is coming out is Brahman himself. Akasha is a form of Brahman. Akasha, the form, is unreal. Reality is Brahman. So Akasha, what is Akasha? Akasha is not the vacuous space, please. The Western thought, and they could not find. If we take space as empty, many things cannot be explained. If we take space as matter, some more difficulties arise. But when we take Akasha as the uncreated matter, primordial matter, matter in its pristine state. So that is Akash. Matter not yet concretized. That is Akash. The subtlest form of matter is Akash. Then it grossifies a little by the same process of Vikshepa. And when it grossifies a little, it becomes air. So air is fundamentally not different from Akash. Akasha is fundamentally not different from Atman. The first appearance of Atman in the world is called Akasha, and from Akasha, when it solidifies a little or grossifies a little, it becomes Vayu. And when Vayu, that is gaseous state. When this gaseous state solidifies a little more, we get the light. We get the light when the vibration becomes little more visible. So this Vayu becoming little more grossified, we see light. And these waves called light, matter in its, the Westerns are still struggling to find whether light is matter or waves. We find it is the subtlest matter, like waves, and when they solidify a little more, they become water. And water, when it solidifies a little more, becomes earth. These names are not for the present earth. Huh? Some people misunderstand. How can we mix water and earth and produce this? These are the elemental matter. They will combine and become gross, and then we will get the whole world. So the Srishti is being described not analytically from what we see, but from the projection of Brahman. From that point, everything is being described, that Akasha, primordial matter, then Vayu, then Teja, then water, then earth. Chautpadyate. And this is described in the Taittiriya Upanishad, Etasmat Atmana Akasha Sambhuta. From this Atman, which is Brahman, Akasha has come out. Akasha is the first appearance due to Vikshepa Shakti. And that appearance itself solidifies and becomes Vayu, etc. Now Sadananda tells why it is called Tamogun. Teshu Jadyadikya Darshanat Tama Pradhanyam Tat Karanasya Tadanim Sattva Tamosi Karanaguna Prakramena Teshu Akashadeshu Utpadyante. He says, because we see Jadya, inertia, Jadyadikya, more of inertia in these matter elements. So we are calling it as Tamogun. We are calling it Tamogun simply because we observe the preponderance of inertia in them. So the cause must be Tamogun, the product have inertia, the cause must be Tamogun. That is why we have called it Tamogun. Tadanim Sattva, but the Vikshepa Shakti has Sattva Rajatama, all three. So Kramena, the cause comes into the effect. So all three are present in the effect also. Karana Guna Kramena, Teshu Akadasya Utpadyante. So all three come out as Akasha, but the inertia being more, we are calling it Tamogun. Tamogun is due to inertia, but all the three gunas, because they are in the cause, they have to come in the effect. And they are in the cause because we have seen during the definition of Maya that separateness from God is the Sattva Gun, and separateness is due to some coloring, that is Rajogun. And when the coloring becomes dark, it becomes opaque, that is Tamogun. So these three are present in the Karana. एतानि एव सूक्ष्मभूतानि तन्मात्राणि अपंचीकृतानि च उच्यन्ते. We'll take it up on the next turn. These very subtle elements, subtle means cannot be experienced by our organs, that is called subtle elements. Tanmatrani, that much. Tanmatra means that much. Akasha only, Vayu only, water only, Teja only, Prithvi only. So they are called Tanmatras. Apanchikrutani. The five will be combined to make gross. At present they are uncombined. Apanchikrutani means uncombined. Uchante. These are, as Sadandaiti goes on, they tell the different names used for them. And the different names are Sushma Bhutani, Tanmatrani, Apanchikrutani cha Uchante. So we are dealt with up to sentence 59. From 46, we came back and read up to 59 with clear enunciation of every sutra. We will continue on the next turn. We have to thank the person who objected because we could explain a little more. Om Akhandam Satchidanandam Avang Manasa Gocharam Atmanam Akiladharam Ashraye Vishta Siddhaye Om Shanti 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 Hare Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanam.